It's on August.
Call meeting to order. Have a pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, we have a moment of silence in memory of our chief probation officer who passed away, Chad Parker. Roll call.
Zuber.
Here.
Bruner. Here. English.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Helsley.
Here.
Hoyt.
Yes.
Janice.
Here. Minutes of the previous meeting, July 10th, 2013. Are there any additions or corrections? I entertain a motion to pass.
So,
Have a second? Dan, second. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed, same sign. County board members' claims. No, claims against the county. Item 5.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. County board members' claims.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everybody on the county board, you guys have kids. Do you tolerate lies from your children? I know I personally did. We know they do it, but it's not something that we tolerate. One of the things that I want to go over, and I'll be as brief as I can, is the ongoing lies. People are saying things at meetings, and when we follow up, it's a blatant lie. Not just somebody misspoke. I didn't make the last airport meeting, not this one the other day, but the one before that. But apparently Mr. Wells was given the business in regards to the budget. It's over budget, I understand that. But he made a comment. It's the first time ever in the history of the airport that it's been over budget. 2005, airport budget, 10,000 over budget. 2007, it was $1 under budget. 2008, 11,000 over budget. 2009, 4,100 over budget. 2010, Mr. Griffin, I think you'll recall, we've had this discussion, and I know the state's attorney informed me of this during that time frame. The county was running with 2 sets of books. Gosh, one set of books says they were $5,000 over budget. The other set of books says they were $2,500 over budget. 2011, they were $3,000 under budget. 2011 is the first year that I've been hounding what's going on. It was the first year that Jeff Boyd was part of the finance committee that started holding some things accountable. You are being told things by Mr. Wells over and over and over that are lies. They're blatant lies. And somebody needs to hold him accountable. We used to have, a month ago, a whole list of, waiting list of people wanting T-hangers. Where's that list at? He hasn't been able to produce it. You're being fed information that's completely false. In regards to the concern over the budgets, and I know this is a new administration and I appreciate the work that you're doing to try to keep things within budget. I know there's a dog expense for, I think it was Mr. Lusader, that's going to come out of somebody's budget. This was a 2010 budget for the sheriff. That was former sheriff, Tim Krippus, $157,000 over budget by our own books. Nobody said a word. I appreciate the accountability, but I think you need to hold some other folks accountable, Mr. Wells primarily, because he lied to you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Well, I have a couple. This goes back to the airport again and trying to justify the extra manpower, where Mr. Wells again stated that it takes more people to run the airport now, considering what's happened in the past 8 months. Well, I'm not gonna mention any names. We all know the root cause of what has happened in the last 8 months. And they were either board members or employees of the county. Then he talks about the board being open-minded enough to allow T-hanger leases to be for 3, 4, or 5 years, because people might expend their own funds and their own money and their own sweat, and their own tears, fixing their hangars. And he says it would be a tragedy if people lost their leases in 2 or 3 years. Where's the same consideration for people trying to build a business, where their whole livelihood is locked up in what they're doing at the airport, and the livelihood of employees that are hired by that person? No thoughts of consideration of being open-minded towards that person, I guess. And the other thing, Mr. English, welcome to the board. I believe you're the representative for my district, and I'll ask you the same question, plus an additional one that I've been asking since November. No answer. Under what authority or statute does the airport operate, and how can they borrow money for airport purposes if you don't know what statute gives you the authority to borrow that money when dealing with the airport? You're fixing to borrow some money, and hopefully you'll come up with whatever statute you're gonna operate under for the purposes of borrowing the money, and then we can just leave it at that, and that'll be the statute you operate under. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment? If not, we'll go to item 8. Request from the Kiwanis for a honeybee committee to use the courthouse lawn from 9/25/13 to 9/29/13. We have a motion to that effect. Yep.
I'll make it.
Mike, second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Request from the Crispin Fire Department for $500 from the Hotel Motel Fund. Jeff, was you?
Yes, they presented that to me, and I've made it an agenda item, or asked all you to put it on the agenda. I've distributed a letter from the fire department. As you probably are aware, the Crispin Firemen's Association up there has operated for a number of years a rather successful fish fry and special Crispin Day celebration at the north end of the county, and they would like to request $500 for advertising and promotion, which is a significant project to the northern end of the county, and I would like to move that, please.
Yeah, do we need a motion or second?
I just moved it, so
Okay, I'll second.
You know how much money's in there?
yeah,
It's on the thing, on this, it's 3,500 some dollars.
yeah, $3,766.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, most of that money comes from bed and breakfast at Christmas, so putting it back. in.
Actually, all of it wanted, yeah.
Yes, we are sending out letters reminding other folks that they have a responsibility to collect that. So, at any rate, are there any questions about it?
City of Paris, they have their own hotel.
Right, they have their own tent, yeah.
Right, and of course, they use that, the honeybee, and also uses those funds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you, guys.
Item 10 is a resolution to rescind prior authorization of County Board Vice Chairman to execute any and all necessary documents on behalf of the Edgar County Board related to local road, bridge, and aeronautical maintenance and construction improvements, returning said authorization to the Chairman of the Edgar County Board.
So move.
Second. Mr. Chairman, does that include both of those resolutions that were passed? Because there were two resolutions that were passed originally.
Yes, I think it was. wasn't it?
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that,
Both of them in the building.
Yes.
that handles both of them, correct? That's all my question is.
That's our understanding. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hmm?
It was a roll call.
Okay, resolution, we need a roll call.
You ready?
Yes.
Zuber,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
We need item 11, we need acceptance of the oath and bond and appointment of Lloyd Crable, trustee of the Rockland Community Fire District.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
You don't have a roll call on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Action on the contract with the FOP Labor Council for deputies. You want to enlighten us, Carl?
Back in the spring, we worked on for several months on a contract for the road deputies. They were without a contract since back in December of 2011. And we come up with an agreement back this spring. Since we've made that agreement, we've had some concerns about the financial position of the county. We've got a 27% increase in health insurance. And I think it's the general feeling of the board that we maybe need to go back and revisit that and do some more talking with the group. I will go ahead and make a motion to accept this. Or I'll make a motion that we take this back to the negotiating committee and revisit the contract.
Have a second?
Second it.
That's Mike.
Yes.
Okay. That was our,
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw your second.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept this contract that we have negotiated, that's been presented to us.
Have a second?
Yeah, I second. We're gonna
Now you
Roll call.
And this is the motion to accept the contract.
Correct.
Zuber,
no.
Brunner,
Yes.
English, Farnum,
No.
Helsley,
No.
Voigt.
No. Now, we need to refer it back to committee.
To the negotiating committee.
Right.
And I'll contact the union representative, and we'll set up a date to get back together and
Okay.
have further discussions on it.
Item 13, approve debt certificate financing for construction projects at the airport.
Mr. Chairman, there have been a couple of new circumstances. One of them, we've been advised by the engineers that since we're gonna go with both projects at the same time, there may be some economies to it. So the time frame may be pushed out a month or two. But in order to be conservative and make sure we're prepared when it's time, we want to go ahead and make a motion to approve the process of going ahead and developing the debt certificates financing process not to exceed $75,000.
Jeff, I'm not, enlighten me again, there's two projects, you call it two, can you give me in 3 sentences what that means?
Okay, they put in two projects, and the state went ahead. One was for the tank farm, One is for expanding the aprons and runways.
And that's
around that.
900,000 altogether.
913,000
Okay.
together, of which originally, when you looked at those two projects, we were gonna be, our share was roughly 63,000. Now that we're combining the two in the state size, there may be some economies that can be achieved, and we may not have to come up with 63.
Okay.
And in order, the engineers are going through that process to identify what we will be responsible for.
But what we're looking at is basically like a $75,000 line of credit. Well, that's not the right term, but basically that's what it is in case we need it.
When we have the number, then we can go
Okay.
ahead and deal with it, and then we can start the process. And we won't be, if it happened like tomorrow, then we'd have to have another special meeting, or we'd have to wait a month till we got another board meeting going. And
Okay.
this way, it kind of gets the ball rolling if it needs to at the time, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I thought maybe something had been added on since I.
No, actually, it's good news, it's not bad news.
Okay, so it could be less than 60.
Yes, it could be, and we're not promising.
All right. You make that on the motion?
Yes, sir.
We get a second?
I
Second. Let Dan sign.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think so.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
You want one?
yes.
Okay, roll call. Zuber,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Elsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Item 14, resolve canine officer wage dispute with Deputy Lou Sater. So also yours, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes. We have reached an agreement that the sheriff and the state's attorney have concluded with our deputy, and so I would move that we authorize the payment to Mr. Lou Sater in the amount of $46,000.
Was that toward immunity, right? Covered?
Yeah. Nope. That will come out of deputies' fund, and, yes, sir.
Second.
We need a roll call on this.
Zuber,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
English, Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Jeff, you'll discuss that further with me, I guess. Okay, thank you.
Item 15, resolution from Joseph E. Meyer, County Tax Agent, to cancel tax sale certificate number 090037, parcel number 09-13-36-329-013, James A. Hollingsworth.
I,
Can somebody help me on this a little bit?
I'm not sure, this is the first I've seen of this. Usually when something like this happens, a canceling of a tax sale certificate, somewhere behind the scenes, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, meaning there's different ways of approaching this, of satisfying some back taxes. Probably Mr. Hollingsworth has settled with Joseph Meyer the funds that were equivalent to the back taxes, and so now they're just gonna cancel the tax sale. That's the only thing I can think of that this would apply.
That's exactly correct on the way it came into my office.
Okay.
And that's the exact wording on the resolution that they're proposing.
Okay.
So he actually paid the taxes he owed, that was.
Yeah, it appears that he's squared up and good to go, so Joseph Meyer's gonna cancel that certificate.
Sometimes they work out a payment plan with these people, if the people approach them, and that helps out the person and the taxing districts and everything.
And that had been subject to a resolution in the past, that's why this has to be a resolution now.
Do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
A second?
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Item 16 is resolutions from Joseph E. Myers, County Tax Agent, to execute deeds of conveyance for the following tax sale certificates. 080153, parcel 11-03-35-279-010 Donna Romine. These are gonna be done all together, right?
It would be,
Or not?
yes, it would be a lot easier
Okay.
for those who are gonna sign the resolution, because they're all the same, of the same nature.
Okay.
They're all different sales, and they're all gonna be issued tax deeds. So if we could make one motion for all of these.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this, but Robert Morgan Incorporated, is that a house or, you know, anything about that?
I do. All these parcels were sold during the summer auction that happens every year. And specifically, the one you're mentioning, Mr. Bruner, is AKA the old Foley Sawmill.
Okay.
And somehow Mr. Morgan became aware of it, and he submitted a sealed bid just like anybody else, and he won the bid.
Okay, I just wondered.
Item number 2 is number 090002, parcel number 02-12-21-384-003, Teresa A. Bach. Number 3 is 090077, parcel 09-18-02-401-022 with Jeff Martin. And item 4 is 080110, parcel 09-18-02-403-006 of Brian Swinford. And number 5 is 090104, parcel 09-18-12-305-001, Robert Morgan Incorporated. And number 6 is 090143, parcel 15-02-34-281-005, John Dillon.
So moved.
Can I ask one question before we vote on this?
Yeah.
Robert Morgan Inc. We're not getting in a conflict somehow or another because we've got money in the Edgar County Bank. There's a difference between Robert Morgan Inc. and the Edgar County Bank. I just want to get that out on the table. It just hit me. We're not, because we've got our money in that bank, we're not in conflict by selling him a piece of property or from the tax sale. Are we, Donnie?
My opinion is this, the way the auction is set up, strictly sealed bid, open to all and anybody except county employees and their extended family, that it's a fair shake for everybody, and he submitted a bid.
Yeah, I'm
And
not-
and other bids were submitted. As far as there being some kind of conflict of interest, I don't think so, but, you know, it was obvious he had he owned the adjacent property to this, so he had a stronger interest in it than anybody else, so. But I don't think there's any problem.
And remember, it's being handled by a tax agent separately.
Right, I just want to make sure that nobody questions that we didn't at least enter, at least talk about that.
Yeah, we don't really do it, right? Joseph Myers does it as our.
The bids are submitted to me, and I am not allowed to even let people know who has submitted bids. It's basically, and then once I send it all, I don't even open the bids, I send them all to them. They open the bids at Edwardsville, Illinois. We don't have any knowledge of what the bids are or anything, and I like it that way.
Okay.
Roll call.
Motion on the floor.
Yeah, you need to sign.
No, okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Got Peter.
Zuber?
Yes.
Bruner?
Yeah.
English?
Yes.
Farnum?
Yes.
Helsley?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Item number 17 is highway resolutions. Resolution number 1, resolution authorizing county board chair to award and execute a contract with the parent low bidder for the following: CH1 FAS 568 Vermillion Road, section 12-00109-00-RS.
So moved.
Farnum moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Zuber?
Yes.
Bruner?
Yes.
English? Farnum?
Yes.
Helsley?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Resolution number 2, Resolution authorizing county board chair to award and execute a contract for apparent low bid for the following CH 11 Shiloh Road, section 12-0010110-00RS.
Yes, sir. I, at this time, because the TARP agreement hasn't been reached, and because the low bid was 5% over estimate, I move, because we need to have further discussions, I move to table.
There's a second.
I second.
Roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 3, resolution authorizing county board chair to sign an intergovernmental cooperative agreement between the county of Edgar and the village of Hume.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll have a roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 4, resolution to appropriate aid from the county bridge fund to substantially assist in the expense of constructing a new bridge, TR 12, section 00-08126-00, BR, Kansas Township, CATB number 260.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 5, resolution authorizing county clerk to sign and transmit 2 certified copies of BLR 09215, anticipation of township bridge funds, Kansas Township CATB number 260, section 00-08126-00-BR.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? A roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 6, resolution authorizing county clerk to sign and transmit 2 copies of BLR-09215, anticipation of township bridge funds to Elbridge Township, section 11-04124-00-BR.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I have a roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 7, resolution authorizing county board chair to sign 2 BLR 05212 to local agency agreement for jurisdictional transfer, Paris Township.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
No.
Voigt.
Yes.
Item 8, resolution authorizing county board chair to sign 3 BLR 05212s, local agency agreement of jurisdictional transfer, City of Paris.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? We'll have a roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
No.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 9, resolution for improvement authorizing county board chair to sign BLR 09110, appropriating motor fuel tax for CH33 Prairie's Edge, section 13-00121-00-W.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Zuber,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Helsley,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Number 18, solicit bids for our fiscal year 2013 audit.
Mr. Chairman, we thought it prudent to go ahead and bid the audit out again this year. There was some questions about the fiduciary funds. We only had one bid last time. We just thought it'd be a good idea in order to try to economize and make sure we're getting the best deal possible and not have any short. We'll be able to develop it. We'll come back to you in a month or two, and so I'd move that we be authorized to go out for bids for audit again for next year.
Second?
So moved. Or so second. Or so something.
All those in favor?
Not enough coffee.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Action on T-hanger lease, airport T-hanger lease. Carl?
The airport committee of the county board has been working on that. We had a meeting the other day. We made approval of it. We took a copy of this to the state's attorney. He's looked it over and approved it. So I want to make a motion that we, the board, approve the T-hanger lease, and once this, if it's approved, we'll give it to the airport manager, and he's send it out to all the people that are currently renting T-hangers.
So moved. I mean, second. You got me
Makes me
doing
feel
it
better.
now.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, you got me doing it now.
Should I make a comment before? we-
Yes.
After we had the meeting on Monday, I called one or two of the pilots that have airplanes out there, and they were kind of questioning non-flyable airplanes required to have insurance. So-
Yes. And I talked to our insurance agent specifically about that, and he said most definitely, if you have anything you have in there, whether it be a snowmobile, a truck, whatever, there's the possibility of something happening, and they definitely need to have liability
That's
insurance.
basically what I
Yes.
told them, but I just want to bring it up again.
Yeah,
so.
that's
Have
the
to clarify.
recommendation, that we definitely have that,
Okay,
no matter what's in there.
okay. Fine.
You know, I think it would be good for you to, maybe Jimmy could draft a letter when it's sent out that kind of explains the situation that we're in, so that it
Right.
kind of smooths the way along.
Okay.
Okay?
Any
If it
other
passes.
discussion?
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Officers and department head reports. Don, you want to go first?
Yes, since our last board meeting of July 10th, needless to say, we had an installment due date for property taxes due on the 19th, so we went ahead and scheduled the distribution, and it has happened, and it's the largest that I know of distribution at one time of right around 13.4 million. I basically sent out 100% of what we had collected. Things have slowed down since then, needless to say. If I were to do a distribution right now, it would only be about $550,000 total. And we're used to this. This is in between, the month in between installment due dates, it really slows down. People hopefully enjoying their summers and forgetting about taxes for a month. But things will start picking up here shortly. And I still will need to, by statute, do another distribution by the end of this month. I would once again emphasize that it will be a small distribution for any taxing district that's going to receive money. The first distribution included a lot of people that paid both installments. I mean, it was, when I did the first distribution last year of 12.9 million, I didn't think it could be topped, but it did this year. So, other than that, if you notice on your report, needless to say, our cash flow has improved because mainly the distribution. I put several notes at the bottom of the page, just more for your information, so you know that now that some of our levied funds that were in a deficit that the general fund was having to cover are now in the black again. So I don't have. There is one first before I ask if there's any questions. When we do a distribution, we send out a notice to all the taxing districts, and there are a couple of township supervisors in here. so they're aware of, one of the things I put on these reports is I mentioned about the road and bridge that by statute is, part of it is given to the villages or city of Paris or city of Chrisman or Kansas. That's by statute. I have a copy of the statute that says that, but basically, it just basically says whenever a township levies for road and bridge, any incorporated village or town within that township is entitled to half of the road and bridge that is generated by the EAV within the village limits. So, needless to say, I've had 3 supervisors, which I'm glad, they called and asking about this because they had a meeting, and it's something that maybe wasn't really noticed that much before, but now it is being noticed, and I'm glad. And I would encourage any township supervisor to ask me questions about it, or I will come to a meeting and explain it to you the best that I can, but it's all in the up and up. It's been going on for decades. It's just now, I think people are starting to look a little bit closer. I think everybody's watching their money a little tighter, and they're wanting to know what's going on with it. So, the municipality or the village is supposed to use that money towards the improvement of streets and alleys within their limits. So that's what it's there for.
Could the supervisors get a copy of that statute?
Mr. English, I have one right here, and I will make sure you get one before I leave the building today. That's why I brought it. I appreciate you asking for it. Are there any other questions about anything?
Don, you may want to note under Fund 100 at the very top of the page, some comparisons with last year, even previous month, where
Right.
we've made significant progress over the last few years.
Right, and I know that a year prior, we would have already had a distribution at that time, and we were still, as you can see, $400,000 to $500,000 in worse shape, let's put it that way. So something is happening, meaning I think it's a combination of maybe watching things a little bit closer, plus the state has, in my opinion, improved some of the timeliness of their payments. They have caught up a little bit. So I think it's a combination of several things. And I'm thankful for all of it, from whoever's helping and the state. I hate to say this, but I like to recognize the state has been honoring some of their obligations.
Do you have a ballpark figure on how much we're still owed from the state?
You know what, I meant to look at that, Carl, but since things have improved so much, I haven't. I do know that, Jeff, we got 58,000 for income tax coming here hopefully next month, and it would be for the month of June.
Right, we're to May, almost everything, except there's a couple that, like for probation is all caught up for the year.
Yeah, they're fulfilled.
Yeah, they're fulfilled. Everything else is, what, 2 months, 3 months out?
About 2 months
Could
out.
it be 100,000, 500,000?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I would go with that 100,000 if anything,
Okay,
but
so
it was
it's
probably
not that
between 1 to 150, somewhere in there.
All right, that's ballpark. That's good
Yeah.
enough.
A lot
Now that
better.
we're in good shape, because Jeff does an excellent job.
Everybody does, it's not Jeff, it's
No.
all the departments over the last couple of years have worked together and really put, or vested their interest in it, and that's why it's really happening. That's why it's happening.
We have sent out budget worksheets, and I'd like to remind everybody by Friday, August 30th, that's the tentative date for those to be returned. If you see a problem getting those back, you might let me know or let Jeff know, somebody. Thank you.
All done? No questions for Don? Yes, done?
I just want to introduce my new assistant, Jill Taylor. This is week 3. We've been trying to fill her in on everything, so that's about it. And also, we will be having our next mitigation meeting, hopefully within the next 4 weeks. So we'll get postcards again, and again, I encourage the public to come and attend and all that fun stuff. That's what I have.
Highway Department, Aaron?
Have nothing, thank you.
Tax Assessor's Office.
Don't have anything?
You did say that we do know that farm ground is gonna be,
Up 10% for 14.
right. And it looks like the other portions will drop somewhere, we're just guesstimating around 2%.
Yes.
So there will be a small increase in the equalized assessed value of the county, a nominal amount, which helps us with, I mean, it's not a good thing necessarily, I'm just saying, since we know that, it helps us with being able to plan budget.
Sheriff's Department,
Nothing, sir.
Clerk's Office.
I think we've cycled through our vacation time,
Yeah,
and thank you very much.
can we get back to normal now?
I'm getting ready to take a week off the paper now.
Well, maybe.
No, actually, we're already thinking about the 2014 general primary, which will be held in March. And actually, petition packets will be available September the 3rd for those who are interested in circulating petitions. Most notably, the offices up for election this year would be sheriff, treasurer, county clerk, governor,
County board.
county board, I think precinct committeeman. So, again, September the 3rd is the date, first date to start circulating petitions.
What's the last day?
The file date is, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it's the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I believe it closes on the Monday after the Thanksgiving weekend, whichever date that is. I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me.
Is that earlier? I was thinking they were.
It's early.
December
Yeah.
2nd.
December 2nd is the last day to file, I
That's
believe.
the last day to file then.
Yes.
Does that also count questions?
That's a good question, John. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Are there any other department heads I missed? If not, we'll go to committee reports. Yeah? No, sorry.
I think the main thing I want to say about budget, we're going to try to get together, the insurance committee and the finance committee is going to have a combined meeting and deal with some of these issues and make some recommendations to the board on the insurance and advice that we're getting, and start to build the budget and start to address some of these issues that we're going to have to deal with the 27, well, it's actually 25.66% increase in insurance costs and health insurance costs. From the standpoint of the budget,
Did you have a meeting date set for that?
no,
Okay.
go ahead, do you?
No, that's what we were trying to get one today before everybody left, once we knew all our committee assignments, so.
We'd like to have it from Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday next week, is that somewhere in there, so we've got time to adjust all this. And then we'll make the clerk aware and
Okay.
make sure it's posted, and we have an agenda, and obviously the whole 10 yards. As far as revenues, I gave you a up-to-date status sheet on Fund 100, but when you back out the anticipation warrants that we probably won't use of $475,000, we're at 75% of the year has gone past, and we're income-wise at 72.2% of the year, and we're at 70.3% of the year in expenditures. So if we can keep up the way we're headed, we're going to be satisfactory at the very least, even given some of these other issues that are coming up. So that's where we're at, Mr. Chairman.
Carl?
Nothing.
You want a report on the paper from the dispatchers and jailers?
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's in here somewhere. I guess one day this week, the jailers and dispatchers met and held a vote, and what they're wanting to do is change the contract for the FOP contract with the jailers and dispatchers. And it involves establishing residency requirements. Currently, the union contract says they have to be a bona fide resident of Edgar County. And what they want to do is change from requiring the bona fide residents to an area, I think 30 mile radius of the city of Paris. In other words, allow,
And it, only in Illinois though, right?
yes,
I mean,
within the state of Illinois. They want to allow them to live outside the county as long as it's within 30 miles of Paris. And they've approved that, and they're wanting us to agree with that. My recommendation is that this goes back to the negotiating committee, and they can contact them, get together, and have discussion with this. My personal opinion is we do not need to do this. As far as I'm concerned, county employees are paid by Edgar County taxpayers' money. They need to live in Edgar County. But we will,
You'll get together as a
negotiating committee, we'll contact them and we'll have some further discussion on it. Yeah, the contract, I had Augie take it to the state's attorney to look at it, read through the contract, see, you know, what is involved in reopening negotiations and stuff like that, so we'll work on
You report back when that's.
it. Yes.
And regardless, we can't take any action on it here today.
No, we
anyway.
can't today because it wasn't on the agenda.
Yes.
In the state's attorney's opinion, we can't. Mike?
Well, this may not be the appropriate time, but I want to bring it up. We've had some discussion amongst some of us, one-on-one. We might want to explore, and you, Mr. Chairman, would probably be the one making this decision of assigning a new committee, and I'll just use the generic term, the ambulance committee, because I understand that there's more than one company that wants to bid on the ambulance contract. And that would probably be time-consuming and extensive to get that bid together. It's not gonna be a 5-minute thing that you put on a piece of paper, so I think that's something you might wanna, the board might wanna consider, and the chairman might wanna consider. And,
A committee to make a contract of what's gonna be bid on.
right.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
When is that due? I know it's sometime next year, but does anybody know? It seems like it's the first part of the year, but
No, I don't.
I'd have to check.
I was thinking
We
it was
check
May,
on
but
that.
I could be wrong.
That being the case, we need to.
Well, when
move on.
we made that little change in the contract so that those employees could receive that.
Yeah.
I think it was about a year from that time when we did that. We had a year left, if I recall, so what was that, 2 months ago we did that? That's probably was a year ago. So it might have been May, June, who knows?
I just know that
That would
time,
involve more than 3 members from the board, right?
Do what?
Well, 3 members of the board just couldn't sit down and make out a contract that could be negotiated with different ambulance service, because there's so many things you have to put into it. Can
Well,
you
I'm
use the
just
existing
suggesting-
contract?
Yeah, they,
Can you use the existing contract and?
that sure be a good starting point. You know, they do have a contract now with the expectations of how many ambulances and how many
Right.
Okay.
I think
different crews are on at all times and.
For lack of a better term, like a bid proposal. I don't want to say the wrong word or the wrong thing, but somehow or another, maybe a group of board members sit down and say, let's look, and then take the state's attorney and say, does this look
And bring it to the board.
right? And then bring it to the full board and say, does this meet your idea? And then, because I think we do have to bid it, since more than one person wants it. Or one entity wants it, so. Just a suggestion.
There's not a problem with it. I would appoint Dale because he's been on the ambulance. Right, isn't that correct? You've been on the ambulance, maybe still is, or is there even one exists now?
That's my question also. I have not a lot of experience in ambulance, but I work at the hospital, so I see the ambulances crews that come in, so I could have maybe a little bit into it.
Okay,
Not that I'm an expert.
Dale, Dan, and Jeff can work on that.
I never said a word.
Maybe you should have.
You know, maybe we can do away with one committee and replace with another. We
Well,
got so many committees anyway.
The thing is, the way time flies by, if, say it's a June deal, I mean, we gotta have it finalized by the first of the year in order to be fair to everybody concerned or know what direction we're headed, so there isn't a whole lot of time to really mess with this. We've gotta,
Yeah.
time just gets away from looking at the insurance. I mean, it just, before you know it, everything's, and we're
Right.
faced with it.
That's all your report, or?
That's all I wanted to, at this time.
Naturally, I have insurance a little bit, as has been alluded to before, we probably talking about 25 to 27% increase. Again, as Jeff said, we're gonna try to get together here and get dates within those committee to have like a joint meeting, so we can kind of look at that between finance and insurance, because it is pretty well intertwined at this stage. We're also we need as a board to look at within the next month, if we so desire, to go ahead and do a full retainer with Bushu, our insurance consultants. Remember, right now, in the bidding of the property and casualty is between $4,000 and $5,000 a year for the next 3 years. If we do the full retainer, it'd be between $9,000 and $10,000 to do that, in which case they would also be responsible for bidding out the health insurance. Just because they would bid out the health insurance, or that we have a chance there, as they pointed out to me, that's no sign that your insurance rate will go down, because some of it's based on a national statute of, not statute, but national percentage of how much insurance rates are going up. Some of it's a little bit where we're at here in Edgar County, and then the largest part is our past history. So those are a couple things just thrown in there together. Our due date on our current health is, I think, at 10/1, and from what I'm gathering is we may be stuck with that until the end of that time. What we're trying to do is get a January 1 date, so it corresponds with good, so our employees will know more about their deductions, and also with the health savings plans, which goes to January 1 through December 31st date. So that's a little bit from the insurance plan. If we are gonna actually go with the retainer aspect from Busher, we probably need to get that squared away in September, so that they would able to have enough time to get together and get these bid forms out for our health insurance and workman's comp and everything else on that part of it. As far as other committee on the old claims and subdivision and judiciary, we're still being hit with claims and various things as far as possibility of different lawsuits coming up, and I think if Mark comes up, he may be discussing that a little bit more in pending litigation. Claims against the county, appreciate Donnie and Jeff's work on that, so that we all have a good idea of always how much is taking place, but the main thing is we're probably gonna try to get together with the finance. Any other questions?
You'll have an answer or recommendation after finance insurance on whether we're gonna increase what we do with our.
Well, the recommendation aspect may be the idea of, here's the information, from my standpoint. I think ultimately is gonna be county board perspective of what we wanna do, but we should know how much money, or a pretty good idea of how much it's gonna cost the county per se for any sort of increases, and how much is that's gonna cost us from October November and December also, because I think that's our biggest issue right now, is how do we do with that increase, and how do we do that with our employees?
Well, the one plan is 115 bucks a month, and the other one's 135. So we're gonna have a recommendation of how to deal with ourselves and the employees when we come through this. Is that correct, for a short term and a long term?
I think we need to have initially the short term, and then if we're gonna do the long term, then I think we need to look at, do we want the full retainer from Bushu? I, for one, cannot look at insurance policies, whether they be general casualty or health insurance, and quite honestly, make an honest opinion. That's not my area.
I just wanted
I'm learning though.
clarification.
So you'll have a recommendation next meeting. You said you really needed to know something by.
Right.
Okay.
The insurance rates, they go up October 1st.
That's my understanding.
And are those paid, when are they
A
paid?
month in advance.
Yeah, see, we've
So-
got no time.
Right.
Okay, so in September, you're paying
Right.
the increase,
Right.
the $100 per employee increase.
So if we don't get our extension to the end of the year,
Yeah.
it's gonna be cutting almost too close to try to bid it back out.
But you always, according to our agent over here and Bushy that I talked to, you know, even if we allow this to go on to the end of the year, the increases, which both of them kind of say, that's where it's at, unless you just totally don't want to do it. So you're gonna have to be faced with that, and that's just an issue we're gonna have to be faced with, and we need to come back hopefully in September, and we may end up paying a month. I mean, we just may end up paying a month. But hopefully in September, we're gonna have that, because, you know, we just got this, it was a week and a half ago.
Just got it, so.
So we're kind of at their mercy a little bit, and sometimes that happens in the world of insurance.
We do the best we can.
That it? Dale, you got your committee reports ready?
Not at this time.
Dan?
Monday, the airport meeting extended past noon, so I didn't make the animal shelter meeting. I think Alan was there, so I don't know if he wants to say anything about what went on or not.
Basically, just talked about the general operations of it. We may be looking, getting very preliminary, nothing set in stone here at all, about maybe having a little bit of different hours within the animal control aspect of it. Maybe some hours more directed to public, and shifting some time frame. They may not be, again, that's up to the board and everything, but it was just discussion items. Maybe on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, not being open as much as earlier in the morning on the days that they're there, to let more people come in a little bit, and staying open a little bit later. And then even on possibility on Wednesday, maybe even staying open even later, the hours would still be the same with the employees. The hours would still be the same. It still would be open basically every day. But one of the ideas thrown around was on the Wednesday aspect, maybe even, again, an idea, maybe like to 6 o'clock. So if you actually did have kids or moms and dads, after they wanted to go off to work, kind of have a family hour, if they wanted to go out and see dogs, to where they actually have a chance, because most of them are working 8 to 4, so you really don't have a chance to go in and maybe get some of our animals that are in there. So that was the main thing, talk about that. The hours would stay, basically, the total hours would stay the same, but just
Should be
information.
a 40-hour work week.
I think theirs is actually 42. I mean, it's a 42-hour base, because they have 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday. Ron's is not, it's half-time, but Andrew's is 42, I believe.
Did you also get their concrete pad that you were asking for?
Yeah, that was through their donations that they've had in the past. They've got some improvements out there that,
Mr. Brenner, just so that everybody knows, the treasurer's office, 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, also sells dog tags as a benefit, or to help people if they're on a lunch hour and they don't have time to run all the way out there. You can buy, as long as you bring in the proof of your rabies shots and stuff, you can buy your tags right there at the treasurer's office. We've been doing that for years.
Okay.
$8 if it's spayed or neutered, $22 if it's not.
is that a discount?
Is that where you got yours done?
I've been paying the 22 because I didn't get mine spayed or neutered. And she's 14 years old, so you add it up.
The the decisions you're talking about making don't have to come to county board, do they? As far as changing,
Well, we probably would, I would think, I mean, that's kind of up to Dan to make that call, just so you would know, because that would be a change
Get
in
something on
format.
paper
The other thing
also.
we're talking about even on there is a possibility of maybe meeting that, like we say, sometimes we almost think we have too many committees running back and forth of maybe only meeting that once every 2 months or something like that. And then, and as a need arises with all these committees, but.
Well, we get phone calls anyway if we have a problem.
any other committee reports?
Solid waste, we have nothing.
Don't look at me.
Do what?
Solid waste, we have nothing.
Oh, you have a report there.
If we've given it here.
Item 22 is closed session for discussion of pending litigation. I thought the state's attorney was. Yes. Yeah.
I move that we go into executive session for pending litigation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Clerk, would you like us out?
Thank you, Don.